Well, let me explain the capitalist savior of health type thing. So with most anything that happens, like the worst things that happen to us in our personal lives or, societal lives are actually the biggest catalyst for, improvement or change. And I think that's what COVID's going to be. The reason being is, as weird as it sounds, being unhealthy is becoming unpopular for the first time ever. Before, we used to think of being unhealthy as like fate. Oh, if we're playing Oregon Trail, you got cholera, you got diphtheria, you're dead. Like, you got a disease. Yeah. Now we're starting to understand, like, well, if you're obese, it's like not just like you're big boned or it's genetics, like it's really your environment and lifestyle and a lot of choices. Okay, so now you're making a choice to be unhealthy, which then could lead to diseases that then cause you to die or other people to get sick that were around you, right? Which is a huge thing. So what I think is going to happen with anything, I think it will become in vogue to be healthy, right? That's kind of where you're seeing stuff heading. Like, why weren't we told that being healthy offset this? Well, how do you be healthy? Which then we'll get into this, for a while, it'll swing wild over to the pendulum. People will market a bunch of shit to people that's not actually useful. But then it'll land back in the middle where people, I think, will kind of look at it and there'll be a negative and a positive of this of like, healthy is a good thing. Just like nobody wants to say this, if you don't have money, that's looked at as lower, right? Like, God, I do not want to be poverty stricken. I do not want to be poor. Nobody would say, I want to be poor. For the most part, I cannot imagine there's a whole lot of people that would just be like, sign me up for poverty. There are not a lot of people that, in essence, if we asked them today, would say, I want to be unhealthy. But once they learn how that actually occurs, that it's not just chance, you just don't get a disease. You do sometimes, but we're for the first time ever, the blinders are coming off because we are wildly unhealthy, maybe for the first time on a mass scale as a human society. Realizing that how I live my life every day makes it easier or harder to get sick, and then how I recover from these things or injury. And then that's the capital, right? The investment is hitting these things resiliently and robustly. And once that starts getting marketed, now companies will spin stuff that way, right? Of, hey, become more resilient, become more robust, become your best self. So when you get sick or so you don't get sick. But that's what medicine has done for years. That's what goes back to the opioid thing. That's all they've been marketing, is that we'll prevent the disease. We'll get rid of that. Well, for the first time ever, now people are losing their trust massively in, the major allopathic model. And this is the capitalist piece. The market will determine the outcome, right? So if people start wanting to take care of themselves, they don't want to rely on a pill, surgery, pay huge insurance premiums for shitty insurance coverage. Pretty soon the market starts to demand stuff, and that's where stuff changes. I mean, I don't want to sound like socialist versus capitalism is the only play, but that's how I think it's going to play out.